All right. Okay. Welcome everyone to the Newsela session for the San Francisco Unified School District Digital District Day. I'm so pleased to be with you. As I mentioned, please scan that QR code if you haven't done so already to officially sign in for today's event. Here's some quick information about getting paid. Make sure you sign in, and please be sure to record and submit your total hours on the personal PD template to your supervisor. And if you've used any of your 18 paid PD hours, you must now input those hours into your timesheet into Empower SF to be paid. All right, welcome to Newsela. My name is Lindsay Dyer, and I am a customer success manager, and I support the Newsela and San Francisco Unified School District partnership. I've been at Newsela for about 2 years now, and I've been working in ed tech for about 6 years, and I'm really passionate about the intersection of education and technology to serve teachers and students and to help create meaningful learning experiences in classrooms all across California and beyond. So that's a little bit about me. And I want you all to consider me a point of contact. So you see my email right there. Take a screenshot, save it. And if you ever need any additional support or resources to support your success and or your student success on Newsela, you can always reach out to me directly. And we'll talk about other methods of support as we continue with this conversation today. So when I think about getting started with Newsela, I'm really curious to hear a little bit from you all. While I do have a presentation prepared, I want to know who's in the room. And so if you could all drop in the chat where you fall in terms of this leveling 1 to 5. Are you brand new to Newsela? 1, or are you a Newsela certified educator and could co-present with me today? Where do you fall along that spectrum? If you could please drop that into the chat. Thank you, Latrice. All right, lots of 2s and 3s, beautiful. 2s, 3s, 2s, awesome. 2s, 3s, great. Great. Okay, thank you all very much for this insight. That's very helpful. Okay, amazing. We've got some folks who are brand new to Newsela, others, it seems like, who have some experience. My hope and objective for today's session is for you to understand the full value of the Newsela platform, and specifically the updated subscription that San Francisco Unified School District now has access to, which means more content and more instructional tools to serve you, your students, and your learning objectives. So let's dive into it. So Newsela was founded about 10 years ago, and teachers have loved Newsela's leveled current events and news articles. By leveled, what we mean is every single piece of content on Newsela is differentiated to 5 different lexile levels, like you can see here in the visual. And teachers have loved that from the beginning. But current events on the Newsela platform was just the beginning. And I mention this because there may be folks in the room who used Newsela a decade ago, and maybe it's been a while since they've logged on. So I want to let you know where we've come from that sort of beginning phase of the Newsela platform. So since that time, we have added subject area products, including Newsela ELA, Newsela Science, Newsela Social Studies, Newsela Essentials, the SEL collection, and more state-specific collections to support robust social studies instruction. Prior to this school year, San Francisco Unified School District has had Newsela Essentials, which is a robust library of individual articles. Today, going into 23-24, San Francisco Unified now has access to Newsela ELA. This is by and far the most robust subject area product and offering on our platform. And we're going to dig into what that means. But you guys now have access to a myriad of different collections and curations to support cross-curricular literacy with an emphasis in ELA instruction. To the platform, you now have 20+ genres of subject-specific content, We've added a tremendous number of videos. I think there are hundreds, if not thousands, of new instructionalized videos, many of which you'll find paired with a piece of informational text. So video and text providing multiple modalities and/or entry points to support instruction. You're going to find subject-specific activities, assessments, and teacher supports. None of this was available in your Essential subscription, so this is a big update to what you and your students now have access to. This also includes alignment to state standards, as I mentioned, curated collections for each subject, and student activity reporting and insights. We know how critical it is to gauge where your students are at in terms of their literacy skill development. And inside Newsela, you will be able to capture insights and reporting on each of your students and their progress to help address gaps in understanding and to celebrate mastery. So some of the reasons why you and your students are going to love Newsela content for those of you who are brand new, and as a refresher for those of you who have used Newsela a bit. The depth and breadth of content on Newsela is endless. You will find an infinite number of curricular and high interest topics to engage your students in content that is relevant to student lives and that reflects multiple diverse perspectives. Relevance. We really pride ourselves in bringing relevant content. This has been really helpful. We hear from teachers all the time that adopted curricula helps to serve many needs, but often there's gaps in relevancy. And so we hope that you can look to Newsela to help address any gaps there might be in relevancy and to really bring students in to the content and or topics that are being discussed in classroom conversations. And then differentiation and scaffolding. This is really at the heart of why Newsela was built and what we continue to build today, a decade in. So with every piece of content, you will find different ways to adapt to each individual student and their learning needs. And finally, a focus on skills. So more and more Newsela is orienting our platform and the many features within our platform to provide opportunities for students to practice key skills and critical thinking. I want to pause and welcome those folks who may have hopped on a little bit after we started. Thank you so much for being here. If at any point anyone has a question or a comment, something you want to learn more about, please drop it in the chat. I'll be addressing comments and questions live as we go. It's really important to me that this time we spend together is valuable and relevant to you and your instruction. So ask questions. Don't feel like you're interrupting me. I really want to hear from you to make sure that this time together is valuable. Okay. Here is a handful of some of the content partners that we partner with to provide content on the Newsela platform. We partner with over 175 of the most trusted names in publishing to bring content to students that excites them, that connects with their lives, and every single day, I should have mentioned scaffold. All of that is done by members of the Newsela team. So we don't lean on the team doing that degree of differentiation to ensure accuracy and value to teachers and to students. Okay, kind of piggybacking on that, we want to ensure that our content is accessible for every learner. So that speaks to the leveling. You know, within any piece of content, you can reach students from, say, 2nd grade to, in some cases, up to 12th grade reading level and anywhere in between. And then about 40% of our content has been translated into Spanish. Our hope is that for Spanish-speaking English language learners, that the ability to translate articles into Spanish by native Spanish speakers helps to support their literacy goals. And this is just a snapshot of what I mentioned before around the data insights that we have available to all of you within what's called a teacher binder. Connected to each article are 4-question formative assessments aligned to state standards and specific reading skills. And all of the rich insights from those formative assessments is captured in your teacher binder to help you track student progress. So my hope is today you walk away with tremendous value and inspiration to start embedding Newsela into your lesson planning and instruction. And we also have in-platform professional learning supports. Those include Lesson Sparks, which we'll look at together in a moment, which offer non-prescriptive pedagogical advice. So some curricular guidance for how you might make use of the content in your lesson planning. We also have PD Pass, which provides on-demand, light-touch professional learning resources, including like 30-second videos or quick how-to articles. We know that the Newsela platforms offers a lot. So the PD Pass, which I'll show you in the platform in a moment, provides a lot of great bite-sized tutorials and how-tos. Okay, so Newsela ELA, let's dig into more of what this product that you all have access to offers. So when you're logged on to Newsela, and we'll walk through setup in a moment, you're going to go to the Browse tab, and under the Browse tab, that's where you'll find your subject area products. And under the Browse tab, if you click on ELA, you're going to be taken to the ELA homepage. So within ELA, you're going to have curated collections and text sets that align to frameworks and initiatives, whether it be ELA courses, curriculum complements, novels and book studies, fiction and poetry, and more. And we'll go into each of those in a second. Other examples include research projects, topics for debate, each of which is aligned with various instructional supports to help you bring that learning to life in the classroom. Just this fall, for this back to school season, we've added some more new content to Newsela ELA specifically. So I'm going to call those out now. And when we go into the demo or into the platform for a live demo, we'll take a look at that together. I do see something in the chat. So let me just read this real quick. This is from Angie. She says, hi, my audio cut out. I know SFUSD has Newsela. Is there a Newsela Science that exists, or is Newsela? Okay, great question, Angie. So San Francisco Unified does have a premium subscription to Newsela ELA. There is a Newsela Science product that's separate from ELA, but I think what you'll find within Newsela ELA, because it is the most robust offering that we have, a tremendous amount of content that connects to topics within the science discipline. And I can demo that when we get into the product. Thank you. Great. Keep the questions coming. I love it. So novel studies, which is what I'm highlighting here, is one of the most popular collections, especially for our teachers at the secondary level who within ELA are teaching novels throughout the year. So a novel collection on Newsela means we've pulled hundreds of the top novels taught in, elementary, middle, and high schools all across the country. And what we've done is we've paired nonfiction informational texts that align to the themes explored within those novels, as you can see here with the example of There by Tommy Orange. So you have nonfiction text, and then on the right-hand side, this is what we call Lesson Sparks. This is that curricular guidance that I mentioned earlier. So we give some information of why these texts were chosen. And then you'll also find some additional activities, pre-reading activities, post-reading activities, etc. Also in Newsela ELA are brand new videos, and they are sprinkled throughout our many collections. And the idea, as I mentioned prior, is to provide multiple entry points into a particular lesson or topic. We know that students are really engaged with video, and so we hope our instructionalized videos paired with text provide these multiple modalities to inspire student engagement. Okay, so a couple of ways that teachers use Newsela. So I threw them up here for you all to kind of review and to reflect on. We've got anecdotes from an ELA teacher, a social studies teacher, and a science teacher. All of these teachers find value in Newsela ELA, what you all now have access to. So the ELA teacher writes, I enrich our book studies with nonfiction articles, like I was just mentioning. The social studies teacher says, I love using Newsela in social studies for research, discussion starters, and article of the week. My students highlight and annotate to engage with the text. And finally, a science teacher says, I'm using Newsela to introduce students to chemistry. Students read for understanding by highlighting and compiling information into a research paragraph to support our experiments. All right. So as you all know well, every opportunity to read is an opportunity to practice literacy skills. Some questions to reflect on are, what are examples of this that you've seen? What opportunities exist in your class for students to learn and or practice literacy skills? Whether you teach ELA, social studies, science, math, or if you're an elementary educator and you teach to all of the subject areas. And what type of content is best for practicing these skills? So some ideas from our team to help build literacy skills is building a routine with Newsela. So these are just some examples. One might be having a Newsela day. Pick a day of the week to read a Newsela article. You might alternate between teacher-assigned articles and student choice. Maybe you have a weekly skill focus where you select a specific literacy skill to focus on. Choose the skill based on curriculum connections, like an upcoming lesson, maybe a testing period that's happening, or reteach. Use formative assessment data that we've compiled in our teacher binder to decide which skills your students might need to review. Share a high interest article to reteach those skills and to practice. Hi, Lindsay. Is there a text-to-speech option or tool for Newsela? Thank you, Christy, so much for the question. Yes, there is. That is called, in Newsela, we call it a read aloud. So teachers and students have access to the read aloud in every single piece of content, and that's available in English and in Spanish. Read aloud is great for whole group instruction and for students who are doing independent reading. And I'll demo that when we get into the platform. Excellent question. Okay, so use the reading skills filter. So what you're looking at right now is an image of our search portal. So just like, searching for something in Google, we have a search bar here that you would type in any topic, theme that you wanted to find content that's aligned to. Now, if you wanted to address a particular reading skill, you would plug in that topic in the search bar and click on article, which is found just below it. Then you have a number of different filters: reading level, grade level, instructional features. There's also this new filter, which is called reading skills. And so if you're reviewing your teacher binder and looking at all the insights that share where students are progressing at each of the reading skills, you might decide that you want to only find content that assesses a particular set of reading skills, maybe like what the text says or main idea. Maybe you just choose to focus on one reading skill. Whatever it is that you choose to sort of check the box, Newsela is only going to pull content that assesses those particular reading skills. Okay. Within each article, you are going to find, as I've mentioned, a 4-question formative quiz. What you're looking at right now is the teacher view, because in the quiz, within the teacher view, which means in any of your accounts, if you were to log on to Newsela, you would see the teacher view of the quiz, and it's going to highlight the correct answer. For students, obviously, they're not going to see that correct answer. The quizzes help to inform a student's reading level. So if you're just getting started with Newsela at the beginning of the school year, we recommend that you assign about 5 articles at your grade level. And you can do so by adjusting the Lexile level, and I'll demo that in a moment. After about 5 articles, the algorithm within Newsela, based on the student's performance of the 4-question quiz aligned to that article, will be able to adjust automatically what is the recommended reading level for that student, whether it's below grade level, at grade level, or above grade level. I have a couple questions in the chat, so let me peek at that. When students go to look at articles on their own device, okay, yes. So Colin, I hope that answered your question. So it takes about 5 articles and quizzes for the Newsela platform to begin pushing out articles at their just right reading level. David says, does anyone know, do we have to sign in for this particular workshop? David, great question. There was a QR code that I shared at the very beginning slide that allowed you to sign in. We'll loop back to that at the end of the session for you to sign in, or for anyone else who missed that QR code. Okay, thanks. Perfect. That answered Colin's question. All right. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Okay, so what I'm showing now is the brand new assignment builder. So this is a really exciting update to the Newsela platform for those of you who are familiar with Newsela and have used it in the past. We'll go into the product and do a live demo momentarily and get to play around. But I did want you guys to see what it looks like for when you're sharing an assignment with your students digitally, which I highly recommend because that's how you're going to get insights into student progress. You would give the assignment a title, choose to assign it to an entire class, and all of your classes are going to be synced from Clever. So when you click assign to class, you're going to see all of your Clever classes in the dropdown, or you can assign to individual students from each of your respective classes. This is an update to provide even more opportunities to differentiate and to scaffold by assigning to small groups of students. Finally, on the right-hand side, this is where you as the teacher get to decide, am I going to have Newsela push out the article at their recommended reading level based on my students' performance? Or in the case of back to school season, our recommendation is to assign to your grade level or close to your grade level to provide a benchmark, to give the Newsela platform some time to assess, where do the students fall? Are they at grade level? Are they just below, just above? So you get to make that choice prior to pushing out the article digitally. And we got a couple questions in the chat. Yes, Sarah says, can you go back to the skills list? Not sure if our counts have been updated. Sarah, let's go back. And then thanks for providing the sign-in link. Okay, great. So let's go back. There we go. So Sarah, I believe, so it sounds like you're logged on, Sarah, which is great. And what you'll do is you'll go to the search bar. So you click on search, and then you'll plug in a topic, click article, and that's where the filters show up. And then once you see the filters, you click on reading skills. Sarah's got it. Okay, great. All right, where were we? I think we were here. Perfect. Okay.
So annotate. Can I ask a question? This is me, Sarah.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Can I just ask a follow-up question?
Absolutely.
So when it says like, what do you want to teach? That's when you put in the skill that you want to teach, not the topic that, or I guess either you would put in either.
Either or.
Okay.
Yeah, either or. Typically what people are putting in the search bar is more topical or theme.
Okay.
But like you could plug in argumentative writing, and you're going to find a tremendous number of collections and resources to help teach argumentative writing.
Okay. And where is that list of reading skills that you have in that little box on the?
So are you in the search? Are you in the search?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So just under search, you should see a couple of these gray bubbles, content, articles, etc.
Oh, I see. If you click on articles, then there's reading skills. Okay, thank you. Sorry for taking up time.
No, I love that you jumped in. This is what I'm talking about. I'm here for you guys. So I'm excited to answer all your questions. Okay, great. Okay, annotations. This, I think, is my favorite feature on Newsela. And it's hard to pick favorites because there's so many useful, valuable tools for teachers and students to support literacy. But annotations is a really dynamic way to inspire a digital dialogue with your students. So this does take some, norming at the beginning of the year when you introduce annotations. And I've seen teachers leverage the annotation tool in a variety of different ways. So I'm not here to tell you how to use annotations, but rather to share what the tool offers and invite you to reflect different ways that you might apply it in your own classroom. So annotations help students to engage in active learning by highlighting and taking notes within a text. You all know that. So within Newsela, we have 4 highlight colors: yellow, green, blue, and pink. Some educators like to come up with a way to sort of norm on what each of those colors mean. And here are some suggested routines that you might consider. I do, we do, you do. And we'll go into the platform to look at it in live time, but essentially the teacher can highlight a component of the text and share it. And then when you push it out as an assignment, all of those annotations that you've created go to the student via their assignment, and they're prompted to respond in any way that you've prompted them. One thing I want to flag about annotations is that is one aspect of Newsela's differentiation that we turn to you, the teacher, to execute. So if you are creating annotations, and in this example, it's an annotation at the 680 Lexile level, the annotations you build at 680 are not going to transfer to, say, 1120 Lexile. So if you want Lexile levels to go out at each of the, if you want annotations to go out at each of the Lexile levels, you would need to adjust the Lexile level and create annotations accordingly. So annotations stay at each Lexile level. And if you know your students are going to be reading across the spectrum, you'll want to build annotations at each of the Lexile levels. I hope that was clear. Let me know if anybody has any questions. Okay, so I will be sharing a link to this slide deck with you all for future reference. And some skill building tools that we've discussed include the lesson sparks, which is the curricular guidance. Write prompts we haven't yet discussed, but we'll look at when we go into the platform. These are linked to resources for you. So when I share the PowerPoint and you're reviewing it after the fact, each of these has a link to some of these skill building tools. Meanwhile, here are links to some of our most popular collections designed to practice literacy skills. These are also hyperlinked for you. So when you return to this deck and you want to check them out, you can click on each of those links. Okay, so before we go into the platform, it sounds like Sarah's already in. Some of you may already be in, which is great. Oops. Can students listen to the articles? Excellent. Who is that? David. David, that's an excellent question. Yes. So we mentioned the read aloud. I think that's what you're asking. Any article, a student can have that article read aloud to them. And something brand new for back to school season is we've added different pacing to our read aloud. So they can adjust the pacing so that it resonates for them. So they can slow it down or speed it up. And I'll show you that when we get into the platform. Oh,
Lindsay, there is a question.
What was that?
Yeah, there's a question from Shannon.
Yes, I see that. Shannon, I know you're not seeing a link to the slideshow. I'm going to link that momentarily. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is make sure that everyone is aligned on setup. So it's really important that everybody can get into Newsela seamlessly and that your students can all get into Newsela seamlessly. So San Francisco utilizes Clever to integrate with Newsela. So I just want everyone to take a moment, if it's easy, to log into Newsela via Clever. And I have some support resources if anybody needs some support logging into Clever. Everyone take, let's see, 3 minutes now to just log in if that's not too much trouble, and then come on back here to our presentation. If anybody needs any help, come back to the chat, let me know. I'm here to help. Meanwhile, I'm going to stop my screen share and put a couple of resources in the chat, like the presentation deck as well. Oh, we got someone in the chat. Oh, okay, great. And I'll put some resources for how to get logged in. So Madeline, I don't know anything about Clever. Okay. Madeline, if you don't mind sharing, are you a teacher? What do you do at San Francisco Unified?
I'm a substitute, but I've actually last semester I taught algebra to compression nonstop for someone, and so I do math, but I also teach grammar and writing for City College. So,
wonderful.
Basically, since I'm with ESL
Yeah.
students a lot, this was an important.
Absolutely. Okay.
You know what
So
I
the
mean?
alternate way to
The
log
skills I
in,
work at, yeah.
the alternate way to log in for any substitute teachers would be through Google. So if you go to newsela.com, you're going to see Google as one of the ways to log in.
Oh, so your Google, like my district Google account.
District Google, you got it. So you can just use your SFUSD email to get logged in.
Okay, so I'll try that now then. All I can say is that it's amazing what Zoom can do. I'm in another country.
Incredible?
This is working. This is crazy. Okay.
All right, here is our presentation deck.
Newsela first?
Yeah, newsela.com. And you're just going to go to login in the top right. I just put the presentation deck.
I'll get it. Yes.
Okay. And this is the Clever login. And I'll put the Google login as well.
I'm kind of in a similar situation. I'm in the website, like you said. Do you go to Google first, or do you sign into Clever?
Well, either or. Some of these women were saying they don't have access to Clever, so I recommended they use the Google pathway. But if you have access to Clever, that is a very easy integrated way to log in to Newsela.
Yeah, I don't have the Clever, so I'll do it through the Google.
Through Google, please. Okay, now for everyone in the room, there are these two pathways for logging into Newsela, Clever and Google. Both have been shared in the chat for your easy reference. Now, for our general ed teachers across elementary, middle, and high, your students will all be logging in through Clever. That is the recommended pathway because all of your classes are synced via Clever. And so your students are rostered to your Clever classes and they get into Newsela that way. So when you're welcoming your kids back to school and you want to share that first Newsela article, the recommendation is to say, let's, open up Clever and click on that Newsela icon. And any assignments that you share with your students, if you've done so in preparation for first day of school, will be housed under the student assignment tab. And then Miss Susie, you can, it sounds like I responded, but you can go to Newsela via Google. So go to newsela.com, log in, and you can log in via Google using your SFUSD email address.
Thank you. I'm in. I just wasn't sure if I was
Great,
supposed to.
no problem at all. I'm here to help. Getting in is honestly such an important component. It's like you guys want to get in and get to the content, but you got to log in successfully.
My question though, if you're a sub, do you just pick any school? You know what I mean? We're at different schools, so we're not going to
pick any school. Pick any school.
All right, great, thanks.
So I don't want to.
Yes, it's asking for.
Yes.
It asks for a school. You have to put one in.
Yeah. So obviously, if you are a general education teacher, please select the school that you teach at. But if you're a sub and you're moving around, you can select any school.
Thank you.
Great. And so, working as a sub, you might use Newsela, say, differently than a general ed teacher would if they have classes that are rostered via Clever and they're assigning to a specific group of students. For substitutes, you can create your own class or you can also share Newsela articles via each article has their own unique URL. There's a couple of different ways to share articles for the context of substitutes. I'm happy to provide some resources that speak to that application of Newsela. Okay, I saw a couple things. Miss Lauren, if you are not the main classroom teacher, but are the librarian, I'm so happy, Miss Lauren, that you're here. I love partnering with librarians. We have so much, we do so much with librarians all across California and the country for that matter. Okay, so you log into Newsela via Google.
Yeah, I've done that.
Perfect. So that's your access point.
Uh-huh.
Now, do you have classes of students that you're supporting or more looking at this as like a research tool?
I have, I'm in elementary, so every single class comes to me, but I was
Yeah.
thinking, I don't know how to create the class, each separate class. I guess I'll have to create on my own because in Clever, they don't give us every class.
Exactly. So let's talk about class creation because it does seem like it's applying to a fair number of people. So up in the right-hand corner, you're going to want to go to settings. Ooh. And I'm sorry, I'm in a demo account, so I apologize. Thank you all for your patience. Okay, so here we go. Everybody should see their initials in the top right-hand corner. You're going to go to settings, and then you're going to go to class directory. Okay. So once you're in class directory, you're going to have a couple of options. I signed in with Google. So I see this button, sync with Google. So if I had Google Classroom and classes rostered via Google, when I click sync with Google, all of my classes are going to populate in my class directory. Many of you will see a button that says sync with Clever. Now, I don't know yet if your classes have been rostered in Clever for this upcoming school year. They may be, and they may be ready to go. But it might still be showing classes from last year. I don't know if anyone can hop off the chat and let me know if that's been updated. But ideally, you're going to see sync with Clever. You're going to click that button and you're going to see all your classes populate from Clever, all your new classes for the 23-24 school year. For those teachers and librarians and substitutes who don't have classes rostered via Google or Clever, you're going to click the blue button, New Class. You're going to give the class a name. You're going to give it a grade level. You're going to give it a subject area where appropriate, and you're going to indicate the school. And again, I'm in a demo account. So you can click create and add class. I'm just going to do this right now just so we can see. So demo class, grade, we're going to go 3rd grade, subject, English, I'll go general elementary, and Oasis school. So I'm going to create and add my class. So here's my class. So we can update the profile, and here is a class code. So if I copy this to my clipboard, I can share this code with all of my students. And when they log into newsela.com, there's a little spot at the top right-hand corner that says enter class code. Another way, let's see if it shows. Okay, so what I did is I just went back. We go my class directory, my demo class, 2 different ways to invite students. Class code, copy and paste. Or if I click into students, I can click a blue button, invite my students. And that's where I'm given the class link or the class code. The class link is kind of nice because then you just invite them to click on that hyperlink and it rosters them immediately to your class. And, then they're logged into Newsela.
Sorry,
that was a lot.
I'm just curious if they can log into 2 different classes as a student, like their own, if their teacher also does this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They can be rostered to any number of different classes.
Okay, thanks.
Great question. Okay, so
Lindsay, there is a question from Lena.
from Lena, I see a question from Nicole.
She said, I'm a para, do I have access?
Okay, everybody at San Francisco has access. So yes, you do have access. And if you don't have Clever, log in via Google. And then Nicole is saying, I tapped sync with Clever and it loaded, but I said I have. it could be your students are not rostered for this particular school year. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have no, Nicole? Let's see what she said. Okay. Well, my hunch is if no students are populating, let me see. Thanks, Nicole. My hunch is potentially the students have not yet been rostered for the 23-24 school year, and that's why. So we would want to resync with Clever the next time you logged in. Let's see. Oh, Kimberly. Okay. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks so much for checking in. How did you, let me say this. What is your role first at San Francisco? 4th grade. Beautiful. And did you log in via Clever? Yes. Okay. They aren't rostered yet, but can they with the code provided? Okay. Thank you, Namita, for the update. Kimberly, you are not Newsela Lite, so that is not correct. You should not be seeing Newsela Lite. I will go in and troubleshoot your access if you wouldn't mind just plugging your email address in the chat for me, and I will follow up with you, Kimberly, directly. So Namita, we don't want to provide them a code from a new class that we've created. Best practice is just to wait till they're rostered via Clever, because you don't want to duplicate a class. So they can be rostered to multiple classes. Like someone else asked, like if they're in, 6th grade ELA and 6th grade social studies with 2 different teachers, they can be rostered to multiple classes. But best practice is to just wait till they're rostered, and you can then do your Clever sync and have all of your students populated to each of your respective classes. Okay, great. And thank you, Kimberly. Okay. Okie dokie. I'm just going to plug Kimberly in here so I don't lose that. Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you all for bearing with me as we walked through all of the troubleshooting around access. Oh, it's all right, Dan. No worries. I see it says not logged in. It's for each student status. Yeah, you can delete the class. And Nicole, the students, it says not logged in. Oh, got it. So Dan, let me go back to that. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages in the chat, so I appreciate your patience. Okay, so we go to class directory. If anybody wanted to delete a class, for instance, you can click in demo. And let me see, status. Active or archived. There's no technically a delete option, but you can archive the class. So if you go to the profile, you can click archive. Okay. And Nicole, so I see my roster in Clever. It says not logged in as for each student's status. Correct. So until they join you on the first day of school and they log into Newsela for that first time, it will show them as not logged in. Okay. Okay, so everyone, I do want to show you all where you can find ongoing support. So let me show you what I just did, just in case anybody missed that. So I'm on the Newsela homepage, because as you're getting used to the platform and questions come up or if access issues come up, go click on support right underneath the Educator Center. You will find support. When I click on the support page, if you type in Clever, Google, assignments, it's going to take you to a number of tutorials or quick articles that'll help bring you up to speed on any particular function or feature of Newsela. Meanwhile, this little blue bubble in the lower right-hand corner is a member of my team. It's not a robot, I promise, and they are here to serve you. So you can enter in your details and start chatting with someone on our support team. You can also click contact and fill in this field, and our Newsela support team has an incredible response rate. So they're going to get back to you within minutes. So we want to make sure that you and your students are set up for success. So take advantage of these pathways for support. All right. So now it's time to explore some content. So I'm really excited to take you guys into Newsela and really get into the fun of exploring all the content. So a couple of things to bring to your attention. On the homepage, which is where many of you are, you're going to see kind of the latest and greatest current events and news articles. Here, you can see the date at which these articles were published, so within the last couple of days. I'm also going to point you to this lightning bolt. So lightning bolt, we have a couple of other little icons here. The lightning bolt refers to an activity within Newsela called power words. And power words are tier 2 vocabulary words. So these are words that students might see a lot, and they're also best understood in context. So as I'm scrolling through this article, here's my first power word. You can see it's highlighted. If I click on the power word, it's going to provide a definition in context, and it can be read aloud.
If something is attacking,
There's also an associated power words activity for your students to complete to help check for understanding. So I wanted everyone to be aware of what power words are. So this is the latest and greatest. I'm also going to see any articles I've recently viewed. I'm also going to be provided some search suggestions. So for August, we've curated some search suggestions for you. A whole search on back to school. So just so you can see what that looks like, that's in the search bar now. And I'm here's all these text sets and collections that you might consider weaving into your classroom for back to school. Here you'll find the different filters, including reading skills, if I wanted to further refine my search by reading skill. Based on the classroom that I selected when onboarding, you're going to find some featured articles that are popular in classrooms like yours, some recently published videos. And so these are those instructionalized interactive videos that I mentioned. You're always going to find sort of the latest videos here at the bottom. Okay, so we went through search. I want to take you into English language arts to show you all of the robust collections you now have access to. So you're going to see a featured row. You're going to see back to school resources. You're going to see some summer learning resources. And one of the main differences between what San Francisco had last year and historically and what they have going forward is you now have access to these instructional sets, these text sets, these research text sets, and collections. Previously, you guys had access to individual articles for the most part. So I'm going to pull up this collection just to preview for you all that it entails. So this is back to school debate and discussion. Okay, so these are some engaging, relevant discussion topics. Should teachers assign homework? What is the best time for school to start? Should schools have dress codes or uniforms? So these are debate topics, great for back to school season. And what you're going to get by topic are individual articles. So articles aligned to each of these debate topics. This is one example of a collection. If you see a blue hyperlink, you're going to see even more articles. You're going to have questions for debate and discussion, suggested grade levels, additional resources, including graphic organizers and sentence starters and after debate reflections, as well as even more articles. Finally, on the right-hand side, you're going to see resources for an academic discussion. Guidelines, how students can prepare, supporting student-to-student talk. So Newsela is not just a glorified worksheet, right? We offer so much more to really bring that learning to life. We know, especially in this like post-pandemic era, we recognize the value of technology and all that it can bring to the classroom, but we also want students doing something with the information that they're gleaning from the technology. And so debate and discussion is just one great example of how to get students talking and engaging with the content that they've read on Newsela. So this is just, one example of the lesson spark, student-facing resources, and more. Okay. I want to take you all to 2 other places, and then I want to open it up for some questions. So a couple of areas that are popular, all ELA collections. This is where you're going to see, and always click the blue hyperlink, see more. Novel and book studies is the one I mentioned as being one of our most popular, especially for secondary teachers who are teaching novels. On the left-hand nav bar, you're going to see we've organized it by elementary, middle, and high. We've also organized it by author name. So if I'm just going to go to high school, for instance, and I'm going to pick out Things Fall Apart. So in Things Fall Apart, the novel study collection, you're going to see interactive video, and you're going to see nonfiction text, primary sources, etc. This is a really cool way to pair nonfiction with the fiction you're reading in your classroom. And you've got a helpful implementation guide on the right, how to use with students and state standard alignment. That is novel studies. Please check this out. This is a huge value add to your Newsela subscription. We've got it broken down by elementary, middle, and high. Okay. These are some other really popular collections, as you can just see. And then I wanted to take you guys to curriculum complements, because this is another way that teachers get excited about addressing any gaps in one's adopted curriculum. So maybe someone could just put in the chat for me an example of an adopted curriculum at their grade level. We can see if we've got an alignment. We've got benchmark, we've got HMH, we've got Wonders, My Perspectives, Lucy Calkins, McGraw-Hill. Can anybody share with me? Oh, there we go. Thank you. HMH, beautiful. Thank you, Christy. Okay, so I just saw HMH. There we go. HMH into reading, or we got into literature. There's a few different ones. Christy, can you help me out? Which is your specific one? Do you know? Otherwise, I can just pull up a general one. Into reading, beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, into reading, perfect. So if I click on HMH into reading, what you're going to see is it's organized by grade level, 3rd through 6th. And for example, in grade 3, we've built out all of the modules. So let's just take a peek at unit module 1. So we've got a myriad of texts available in Spanish, and all of these articles that map to this module within HMH curriculum. You also have on the right-hand side a really useful tool that provides scaffolds for multilingual learners, with text available in Spanish, scaffolds for reading and responding to the text, etc. So I really hope that, in this case, elementary educators look to Newsela as a way to complement your existing adopted curriculum. Okay, so if we go back into ELA, we looked at curriculum complements, we looked at novel studies. Standards and skills is another great spot to begin your inquiry into Newsela. So we've got reading skills for elementary readers, for secondary readers, for instance. And we'll just take a look at this. So on the left-hand side, this is another way to refine your search of content, because there's, thousands of pieces of content here for you. This would be a way to hone in on a particular reading skill that you want your class to practice. For instance, analyzing text structure. So these are texts that feature a variety of text structures for students to identify and analyze. And every quiz in each of these articles assesses that skill. So I'm going to open up one of these articles to take us into some of the nuts and bolts of a Newsela text. So all of your articles are going to have the following benefits. This one here is translated into Spanish. This shows you all of the Lexile levels that the article is available at. Max is always going to indicate the article level it was published at. So if I go to Max and I scroll down, you're going to see text level 8 for 8th grade. That's the max level. and it goes all the way down to 3rd grade. There's a few different ways to share with your students. You can always print an article with the quiz, with the right prompt, etc., and or you can assign it digitally, which we'll look at in a second. Or you could present it, and this is what it looks like if you present to a whole class and do whole class instruction. Other tools include adjusting the text size.
Nancy, there's a question from Colin.
Great. Ah, great question. Who was that? That was Colin. Loved that question. So if ever you want to model this with your students, go to the present mode. The present mode is going to be student facing. So here you can see they no longer have the print option or the assign option. They just have, do I want it in English and Spanish, or do I want to adjust the Lexile level? So just one more refresher. If I go down as a teacher to my left-hand navigation bar and I go present, this is what students will see. This is such a great thing to do in the beginning of the year to orient your students to Newsela. So you can orient them to the annotations feature, orient them to the quiz, orient them to the right prompt, etc. Great question. So as we talked a little bit about annotations, you simply hold down, highlight, and then as a teacher, annotate. And you can pick your color and create your annotation. If and when you click save, this annotation would be shared at the 620 Lexile level. Okay. Finally, I want to show you the assignment builder. We looked at this earlier. We have a little pop-up here saying a new way to assign. This is new. You give it a title, you give it to your whole class or a small group. You set the Lexile level or leave it as Newsela recommended. And you also have this new checkbox allowing students to change the Lexile level. So they now have the agency to change the Lexile level or not, depending upon if you check the box or not. The other thing that's very cool with our assignment builder is you can add activities to your assignment or not. So whatever boxes you have checked, those will be the activities that your students see when they open up the assignment on their side. You can provide some instructions and either create, which pushes it out right now, or schedule it to go out later. This is a huge win. Teachers have been asking for that for a long time. And then if you want to view what your student will see, this is what they'll see. And we have a question. Another question. Multiple classes. Yes, Miss Lauren asked, do you know if Newsela remembers their reading level from one class to another? Yes, Newsela does. So all of that information about the student is housed in the teacher binder. And that will be available for you here in the reading summary under binder. Now I am in, I think, yeah, this is just my demo class. So I unfortunately don't have the teacher binder to show you, but this binder tool reading summary is going to, just like the graph says, is going to show you student progress over time. It's going to give you snapshots into how your entire class is doing. So one thing that I want to leave you all with, because we're running out of time here and I want to be mindful, is I'm going to pull up a resource on the binder. And I'm going to link this all to you in the chat. The binder is such a valuable tool and allows you to review assignments, quizzes, right responses, etc. And here you can see some information about a particular class, the time they viewed the article, the amount of time they spent on it, and the quiz will be automatically scored for you. And then if you assign a right prompt or annotations, you have hyperlinks to review that student's work. The reading summary is also a great way to, as I was saying, look at how students are doing on different reading skills. And here actually you can see a small visual. Let me see if I can adjust. There we go. So this is really cool. Reading summary, reading skills. You're going to see across these 8 core reading skills how your students are performing. green for mastery, red for needs some improvement, and orange for performing at about 50%. So this is that at a glance way to see how your students are progressing across a number of different reading skills. We are at time. It has been such a pleasure to be here with you all. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, IA, for providing the feedback form. Please click that link. I would love your feedback. And if anyone needs any support with Newsela, please email me directly. If you want a Newsela presentation at a staff meeting, or if you want me to work with a PLC, I live very close to you all. I'm just an hour north in Sonoma County. So I'm more than happy to come in. I'm happy to work with librarians and teachers all across the city. So reach out, let me know. I'd be happy to come work with your staff. We want you all to take advantage of all these fabulous resources, and I wish you and your students the best back to school season. So thank you so much. This has been fun.
Don't forget to put the QR code you said.
Oh, for signing in?
Yes, I'm not sure I know how to use it. When you put it in, what do? I take a picture of it?
Yeah, so you can just hold your phone up to this QR code, and the phone is going to provide a small link. Or you can put this link into your browser, bit.ly /SFUSD sign in.
Okay, fine. I wanted to ask you a quick question before you left. I know
Please.
this is kind of a strange question. I'm kind of a substitute. I'm a core substitute, so I go to certain schools all the
Okay.
time. Can you use something like the Newsela, which I like very much? It's marvelous.
Great.
With the whole class at one time. Could everybody
Yes.
be doing it together with the
Yes.
teacher?
You can.
Oh, I like that because often I have trouble, as a substitute, getting the kids to do the work. And if we do it together, often it works better.
So there's a couple of different ways. One, you pull up an article like I just did. I pulled up a random article. And if you
Mhm.
want to present to the whole class, you click present and you guys can all read it together.
Oh, wonderful. Marvelous.
Otherwise, every piece of Newsela content has its own unique URL. So if you highlighted this URL and copied it and you shared it with your students, they could all click it and look at the same article with you.
Ooh, I got cut off. Oh, shoot. I just got cut off. Oh. Hello?
Hi, I'm still here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got cut off. Oh, thank you so much. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. My pleasure. I put the slide deck one more time in the chat for Latrice. There we go. And someone's asking about Cecilia. Cecilia, I'm gonna make sure your name is given to the people facilitating this day. Great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. This has been so much fun. I hope this was valuable. And I can't wait to see San Francisco educators using Newsela this year. Happy back to school.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So now we have to sign in to go back to the classes
For Newsela or for Digital District Day?
for the digital day.
I think so. You go back to that Zoom events room.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
My absolute pleasure. And then Mr. Wang, I see your request. I'm putting my email in right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, email me. I am available for staff workshops, PLCs, or we can do virtual workshops like this. Thank you, everyone. I had so much fun. Happy back to school. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Lindsay.